Agriculture in Kenya is and has been the backbone of our economy. But the biggest challenge is lack of information on emerging trends of agribusiness and modern ways of farming. AIM Agribusiness is set out to package agriculture in a format that is more active and practical to the realities of farming. We focus on success stories, agribusiness opportunities, challenges faced by farmers, expert advice. As the sun rises on our first episode that is meant to end in December 2021, let us have a glimpse of what we have for you in store.
My name is Victor Kiprotich, and I am a youth in agribusiness. I do both dairy farming and poultry farming on a small space, and I'm happy to show you around. Hey, greetings everyone. Welcome to Joto Farm. We are located in Kericho, and this is where I keep my hens. I practice semi-free range. Some are out inside. While others I let them out to roam around. I started my poultry farming in the year 2017. That's just after my KCSE. As I came home and I wanted a way of how I can generate income. That's when I go to campus so that I may not be burdening my parents anymore. So I decided to venture into poultry farming. I first began with the broilers, keeping broilers, and yes, it was successful. But it had some challenges. That's why I decided to venture into layers. I'm a third generation farmer. My grandparents used to practice them, my parents, and now I'm practicing as a youth. And I find it very interesting looking at cows, milking them. The produce I get from the cows really encourages me, and I also encourage other youths outside there to practice farming. So I keep 5 dairy cows, which are Frisians, and on average per day I milk 20 liters. That's from 2 cows currently, and for the domestic purposes I use 5 liters, and then but the rest 50 liters we sell them outside, which they buy at the price of 50 shillings per liter. One of the main challenges which I had with broilers is that I didn't have ready market, because at times I couldn't have storage facilities to keep the broilers. So it may end up staying for long in the farm, and in turn it will cost me a lot, since I was supposed to feed them. Yeah, and as you all know, that broilers only takes about 7 weeks and they're good to go. So there was the challenge of storage facilities such as the freezers. I didn't have at that moment, considering that I was a starter. So considering those challenges which I had, I saw the need to change to layers. I began with the 150 layers. That is in the year 2018. Layers, at least, it doesn't need. I can store the eggs for some times, and it doesn't need to have ready market like immediately. it can stay, you can store the eggs for some time. And on average, I used to get 140 eggs in a good day. So that meaning which I could sell them per crate. Yeah, and at least for layers, someone could come and pick them straight from the farm. I didn't have the hassle of going to town to get for to look for markets. People could come here at home. The neighborhood could come and get them. So that I really enjoy. So it as a good alternative than the broilers. Yeah, so I kept the layers from 2018 till the end of 2020. That is when it stopped laying eggs. I feed my cows 3 times a day, in the morning and then mid-morning and later in the evening. I feed them with napier grass and hay, a mixture of napier grass and hay in the morning, and dairy meal in the morning, and also during the day and later in the evening at around 9. But what I always ensure is that there is feeds every throughout the day, so that the cow can feed and as well as rest. My biggest challenge as a dairy farmer is when the cows get sick. Like 2 days ago, I lost a calf because it was sick, and due to the veterinary doctors are far away, they're not from the neighborhood, so at times access to medical services become difficult for the cows. So that's one of my biggest challenges, and also the cost of treatment for the cows whenever they are sick is very expensive. As a chicken farmer, a poultry farmer, yeah, it begins very early in the morning, especially when the chicks are 1 day old, because I keep them from 1 day old till maturity. Yeah, so when they are 1 day, my day begins a bit earlier than normal, because I need to check on the temperature of the place they're staying, the brood, and so that means at night I must wake up at least to check if the temperature right, or they have squeezed themselves, or they're doing good at night. Yeah, because that day is when it is really crucial to keep checking on them. But on a normal, from week 3 to week 4, my day begins from 8 a.m. in the morning, where I come and feed them. I clean the drinkers and feed them. Where there is need, I remove the sawdust from the house. At around 12, I come and feed them again, and also add some water. Then in the afternoon, I also do the same. The difference between the broilers and the layers is this. Yeah, from the layers, I could get a profit of about, maybe in a good day, they could lay 140 eggs. That means times 10 shillings per egg. That is 1,400 shillings in a day. And on bad days, it will lay about 120. Yeah, that is on the minimum. So 1,200. So it was a good profit, because considering the cost of feeds for layers, maybe I could buy one sag, could go for about 2,400, and it will take the chicks for about 3 days. So on average, I could get per bag, I could get about another about 1,500 on top profit shillings. So in a week, times 4, because it comes to about 4,000. Or challenge is the cost of feeds, because compared to the time I started the farm, the cost of feeds has really rise. Like, I do remember I could buy one sag at about 1,800 shillings, but currently it goes around 2,700. That means an increase of about 1,000 shillings. So it has really been costly products, but the cost of or the price of the egg still remain the same. So that has become a challenge to me, since the profit margins always reduces. So this is my encouragement to the youths outside there. Like as for me, I'm a university graduate, and I didn't see the need of just staying at home as I look for a job, but I engage myself in farming. I become dirty. I know a lot of us fear being dirty, and so I encourage the youth outside there to go get their hands dirty by doing dairy farming, poultry farming, and I assure you it will be a success story for you. And though there are challenges, but you begin small. I started my poultry farming with a few number of chicken, and now of over 400 chicken. So it was just a step at a time.
Victor, we are very happy that you've played host to us.
Thank you very much.
As we were AfriChick before, now we've rebranded to AIM Agribusiness, and I'm happy to have seen your work, what you're doing. I'm very motivated as a young youth. You're trying to keep up with this job. I have a few corrections for you, and my main concern is biosecurity. You can see at the entrance of your house, there is no foot bath. That is very wrong. Simply because when I go to the washroom and come back and go to your structure, I'm carrying bacteria or even unwanted matter at my feet. So without disinfecting my feet at the door, then I'm taking in the bacteria right inside your poultry farm. And that is going to bring you infections such as typhoid and any infection that is related to E. coli, for example. So it's very important that you kindly do a foot bath at the door, and you keep cleaning it. You put water and a disinfectant there, so that before entering the structure, you disinfect your feet and also sanitize your hands. Now, I'm trying to understand your project, but I'm not able to understand your project simply because I can see birds in cages and I can also see birds on free range. My main concern about the project that you are doing is, how are you able to give these birds feed and maintain a uniform feeding ration? You see, the birds that are on free range are quite huge than the birds that are in the cages. So it simply means that the birds on free range are feeding more than the birds in the cages. All right? When the birds that are on free range get into the structure, they'll feed on their ration from outside, then again go and feed on the ration that is on the feeding trays for the chicken that are in the cages. So that means that you have an imbalance in feeding. Mind you, the birds that are also on free range are able to feed on greens, peck insects and all that. So it means they have an increased feeding than the birds from the insect. So you don't have a uniform feeding. And it's very important that you maintain uniformity in your feeding. So my advice is, if you've decided to go for free range, then feed the birds from outside, dismantle the cages, let the birds feed outside, roaming freely. Then in the evening, let them go back and all of them to stay inside. It's even cheaper for you in that direction. Okay? Then my other concern is, in the cages, is the hygiene. You find that the chicken have really soiled the pipes. And when the chicken are feeding from the cages and others are feeding from outside, you see the birds that are standing on the feeding and the water lines from above, they can be able to defecate inside the feeding trough. So it means that the birds in the cages will feed on feed and also feed on the droppings. And that is also wrong, because they're likely to get infections. You see the dropping that is on the floor, when the birds are feeding on that dropping, it's also not correct. That's why it's not possible to have cages and birds on deep litter in the same structure. So you can try to adapt one. If you adapt cages, let them all be in cages. And if you adapt free range, let them free range and also get back to the structure.